Hey guys, and welcome to the Working Money Channel. XRP here on the hourly, nothing remarkable going on there. BTC guys on the hourly, same kind of pattern. We saw this dip after the Twitter fiasco, and now, Bitcoin just kind of hovering in that 9100 region. We bring up VET, and now let's look at this on the daily for a second, okay? And so we'll bring up VET here, and we're finding that, after this bull run for VET, VET has been hovering in this level of resistance for a while now. It could actually continue its trajectory upward. You guys can see that has retraced from a zone that was all the way back here, back in, August 2018. And it's a very, very old level of resistance. So what will we see from that? Well, I think VET News is pushing VET higher, which is great for VET holders and great for the company. Let's bring up Bitcoin again here. Since we are not seeing too much movement for Bitcoin, and since the movement we are seeing is not very strong, ultimately this pattern we're seeing needs to break one way or the other. Nothing really has changed in the meantime, and I think that this will denote where we see the rest of the crypto market go. As I've been saying for days and days and days, and it seems like a long time now, since we've been just hovering in this zone between, let's call it 9,000 and 10,000, just to keep it easy. Okay, since we got up here back in late April, it has been since late April that we've just been vacillating. So we need a breakout, guys. We need a movement that will make the decision where the rest of the market goes, because, despite VeChain's rise, it's great. It will go even higher if Bitcoin goes higher. It will go lower if Bitcoin goes lower. Same with XRP, same with Ethereum, XLM, Tron, ADA, whatever you guys hold at the moment. And so let's keep moving it along here. This from Han Solo at @1HanSolo on Twitter. Some banking app gets massive update and improvements. So this with regards to the XUMM app, I don't know if you guys have downloaded that yet. The chief developer of XRPL Labs, VeChain, has announced that the XUMM banking app has received a massive update with over 60 fixes. XUMM is a decentralized app that is intended to replace classic online banking and expand it with cryptocurrencies such as XRP. So released it in March. Now it has received 60 bug fixes, and chief developer VeChain announced on Twitter just a few hours ago. So this was from a couple of days ago now. Yeah, so a couple of days ago, but he has announced that there have been fixes and updates to the XUMM app the next 1 to 2 days. Last internal testing and fixes next week. Community dev testing. Estimated public release by the end of the week. So it is now the end of the week. Over 60 changes, additions, improvements, and fixes, mostly developed by these people working on the app. So guys, if you haven't updated your XUMM app, maybe you don't have auto updates turned on, now would be the time to look into that. And more on that Twitter hack, guys. So this from Frank Chaparro at FinTech Frank here on Twitter. Twitter is now restricting posts that contain cryptocurrency addresses. Interesting. Seems like a pretty obvious fix, in my opinion. Twitter appears to have disabled the ability to share strings of numbers and letters on its site following a widespread attack on Wednesday. Twitter appears to have disabled the ability to share strings of numbers and letters because of these Bitcoin scams. The move is likely aimed at preventing would-be fraudsters from sharing cryptocurrency addresses made up of random strings of letters and numbers in a bid to solicit cryptocurrency from victims. And of course, we all know what happened on Wednesday with the breach. And they received a little more than 100,000 in Bitcoin by a few people sending, small transactions. But the fact of the matter is that's still quite a lot of money. I guess for a widespread attack like that, $100,000 takeaway doesn't seem like much to me. I don't think I would risk going to jail for that kind of money. But maybe they thought they were going to get more. I mean, it was a pretty widespread attack, hit so many people in the crypto space, not to mention many prominent political figures as well. So Twitter now deciding that they are abolishing the ability to post a large string of letters and numbers, which could be construed as a cryptocurrency address. So, sounds like a move in the right direction. Obviously, they are taking this one step at a time, and this story is still developing as the days go on. We got Michael here at Val5Links on Twitter, also mentioning the hack, and apparently Binance, Coinbase, BitGo may know the hackers' IDs. And apparently they do not appear to be sophisticated Bitcoin users, as they left trails leading to and from major exchanges that presumably hold the keys to their identities. Here's a Bitcoin address report from Bitfury Crystal. shows the Bitcoin address, and of course, labeled as a scam. The owner was Crypto for Health. For those of you guys who did not know, and the received amount just actually shy of 13 Bitcoin, 12.864 Bitcoin, and 374 transactions. Listed as a scam, we regard this as a scam, and so they left paper trails behind, which most sophisticated hackers just wouldn't do. According to the on-chain evidence we collected, several major exchanges should have their identities. So Coinbase and BitMEX and BitGo, Luno, Binance, they should all have some kind of KYC information for these hackers. Guys, I will leave this article in the description if you want to read further on that. We also got this from Ripple Rich at Rich Ripple here on Twitter. XRP and VeChain are the most undervalued crypto assets. And this poll was done on Twitter a little while ago. A poll conducted by Fiat Leak has showed that XRP and VeChain are the most undervalued crypto assets. It showed the results from close to 4,000 crypto users, and it contained 4 options, including Kyber Network, Chainlink, the XRP token, and VeChain. And look at that, XRP a whopping 77.5% as the most undervalued cryptocurrency there is in the market. Now, I'm going to go off script a bit right now and tell you guys that I have seen an article that suggests that XRP is the only crypto that is dumping right now when others are seeing rallies. Even if they're not mega rallies like we saw in the bull run of 2017, we still are seeing coins rally, 50, 60, 70, even 100, 150%. And that is just not happening with XRP. Now, somebody was asking my opinion on this, and I'm going to address this in tomorrow's video. I'm going to give you the reasons why I think this is the case. It's interesting because I haven't actually thought of it from this perspective before. And so, yeah, just some food for thought. So I'm going to be talking about that tomorrow, just giving you guys a heads up. But yeah, according to this, the XRP community also thinking, since XRP is that currency, is that cryptocurrency where we should see the utility, it is very undervalued right now, just shy of 20 cents. And therefore, this is why they've choose to vote for it in this poll. VeChain as well, right? Under 2 cents right now. So much possibility for VeChain. So those are the top 2. But look at XRP, 77.5%. Number 2 is VeChain coming in at 12.8. And I think that sentiment probably has to do with the fact that VeChain just pumped recently. I think that's it. People have already made some bank on VeChain, and so maybe they're not as upset about it as they are with their XRP holdings. Guys, don't fear though. XRP will pump. Okay, mark my words, XRP will pump. We got more VeChain news though here. Sunny Lu, so 1 million daily transactions, he says, would be a small success for the VeChain Thor blockchain. So he is VeChain founder, Sunny Lu. He thinks VeChain is on track and can achieve a small but considerable success by having more than 1 million daily transactions on the platform. He thinks this milestone can be a good step for VeChain on the way to become a public blockchain network. Lu recently had an online interview with BINANCE.US about the current situation and plans in the future for VeChain. And so here's a quote just from the interview, just going to go down here. Nowadays, there are on average 100,000 paid transactions every day on VeChain Thor from different business users, mostly from enterprise users in multiple different territories like fashion, food safety, sustainability, and lots of other different use cases. I would have considered a small success in the near future when the number could hit like 1 million transactions per day. So that's what he sees as a successful number of transactions, 1 million per day. I think that this project obviously has way more potential than that, but start small, move our way up. Same with what Brad Garlinghouse was saying about Ripple. We need to focus on one vertical and do it really, really well before we can move into other verticals. So reaching 1 million transactions per day can be a considerable milestone for VeChain Thor that currently manages 1/10 of that. But Lu believes that goal is not going to be their final achievement. He believes that VeChain won't stop there, and there is no reason why we can't expect a much bigger scale of use. The CEO thinks that they can reach that high level of scale, and that someday everybody will use this platform without even knowing it. Sound familiar, guys? This is how success is built. Once there is an infrastructure, and the blockchain just tends to work in the background, and everybody is using it without even knowing it. VeChain, a company and cryptocurrency that can succeed at that. Also, Ripple on XRP, another company that is working towards that with cross-border transactions currently. So the success metric that Lou chooses for VeChain is somehow typical between all blockchain and cryptocurrency projects. After all, more transactions per day means more users are coming to the platform, and this can pave the way for mainstream adoption. So they are also looking for mainstream adoption right now. It's slow starting because, the world still isn't as cozy as it should be, could be, would be. I don't know, I shrug my shoulders because I feel like it's so obvious. Of course, I do my research every day. I can look beyond Bitcoin is a scam, in quotes. Crypto is for shady people, in quotes, which is what, a lot of the world still thinks. We got to get lawmakers on board. We got to get people to understand the narrative, the true narrative, because right now the narrative is about crime, hacks, all that negative stuff that we kind of just want to go away. Nevertheless, we are still seeing improvements in the space. I saw this. Forget where I saw this from. Somebody sent me this. I'm sorry, I forget who you are now. Norway's largest cruise ferry line uses DNVGL and VeChain's VET MyCare solution. So this is from Colorline AS, Norway's largest cruise ferry line. And as firms and enterprises across the globe gradually return to business, forward-thinking companies are now putting in place robust infection risk management systems to curb the spread of the beer flu. So yeah, this is in regards to the new world we're living in. In the latest development, Colorline, Europe's leading cruise ferry line established in 1990, has adopted the VeChain-powered MyCare beer flu infection risk verification solution for the verification of its infection prevention process. So they are using this to acquire data and organize it so that they can remain safe during the pandemic on their ferries. According to the team, the MyCare Readiness Assessment has successfully verified that Colorline's beer flu infection risk management systems are up to standards and that its 6 passenger and cargo vessels operating across Europe are virus-free. And guys, they are using the VeChain blockchain to do this. So how it works, collaboratively developed by VeChain and DNVGL, the team says the MyCare solution uses DNVGL's infection risk management approach employed by hospitals to ensure patient safety. MyCare combines VeChain's blockchain expertise with DNVGL's healthcare standards, best practices in risk management, HSE management, and maturity safety rating standards. So they are using the blockchain, making sure people are safe on cruise lines, and this really might take off. We might see this on public transit more and more in the future, especially if we can't find a solution to the beer flu. Because think of it, there is one camp saying, you know what, we might just have to live with this for the rest of our life and try to prevent from getting it. So what is that world going to look like? Are more people going to wear masks in public? Is it going to be mandatory? Is it not going to be mandatory? But you'll see more and more people using them. Are we going to see more technologies like this on transportation? Like, well, right now it's on cruise ferry lines, but could we see it in more public transportation hubs across the world? And what will that mean for VeChain and the value of VET? Think about it, guys. Just think about it. Guys, this video is VeChain heavy today. I saw this from XRP Ferguson here, and he posted this from Jason Rockwood. David is the man. Awesome exposure for VeChain. Can't wait until we see VET on TV in the USA. So I believe this is from Australia. I think it's Australia. Let me play you this clip. They talk about VeChain and the supply chain in the fight against food fraud.
Around what you can and can't do when you're producing and growing food. That makes it a really high value target for people who substitute that product with cheaper goods.
Global food and agriculture trade is worth close to $2 trillion. It's big business, and when a product is labelled Aussie grown, a premium price tag comes with it. But how do you know if what's on your plate is what it says it is?
We can take an Australian prawn off the supermarket shelf and scientifically validate both of this Australian prawn and that it's come from its claimed wild fishery.
Grant Erskine is from Source Certain.
Ultimately, we're preparing the samples to be run through our machines.
His company specializes in supply chain fraud.
Okay, so supply chain fraud, you heard it there. And you guys could see the source of that article earlier on was VeChain. So obviously part of this narrative within supply chain, and we know they deal with food fraud, making sure the food you get is what you think it is. So interesting little news clip there from Australia. I wanted to thank XRP Ferguson for posting that. Guys, this next one from XRP Crypto Wolf, major Washington, D.C. lobbyists see a shift in regulatory tone towards cryptocurrency, since the pandemic. I got to read you this because this has to do with regulation in the United States. So Perry Ann Boring, the founder and president of the Chamber of Digital Commerce, pointed out that the pandemic had forced Congress to look at new technology for money in a sweeping way. We have just seen a huge change in the tone towards blockchain technology in Congress just since the pandemic. We have seen almost a 180 in that conversation. The pandemic has forced Congress to go digital. So could this be the next step? Executive Director of the Blockchain Association, Kristen Smith, also noted promising changes, especially since Libra's announcement last year met with what Lagarde described as an allergic reaction. Smith said, there is now consensus among policymakers that it is a good idea to upgrade our money, and that is progress. So, the United States of America, at least promising it verbally, that this is going to happen. And since the pandemic, there has been an accelerated, if not in the mainstream narrative, at least behind the scenes, in their meetings, they are saying this needs to be accelerated because of what we are experiencing today. Obviously, I'm sure China plays a big part in that narrative as well. But here we go. They're saying we need to upgrade our money, and that is progress. Unfortunately, though, this is still going to take time. She's not optimistic about the new legislation. Congress is almost at a standstill due to the election on anything and not directly related to the pandemic. So obviously the beer flu pandemic is having a bit of a strain on this. They continue saying that there's still a lot of room for education. I mean, these guys should have been educated on this years ago by this point. And I feel like this is partially why Ripple is probably pretty frustrated at this point too. Indeed, as Smith spoke to the need to make crypto something average people were using more regularly, Boring advocated extending that to legislators. Everyone remembers when they got their first Bitcoin, she says, so let's do that for Congress. Okay, interesting. I mean, it isn't terrible, it isn't great, but they're talking about it. They're saying that, we need to do this. They understand the importance of it, and the beer flu has given, I guess this is the most critical part to this, that they have seen a 180 in how they are reacting to all of this. So at least that is good. Guys, we got this from Matthew Liony here on Twitter, and he points this out. This is one of the last hurdles for digital asset mass adoption. So key tax considerations when using blockchain for value transfers. The taxes are going to be an important part to all this. New blockchain business applications are enabling digital representations of value that fall outside the definition of property, be it cryptocurrency or other types of digital assets. Considering tax implications during design stages can raise material questions and considerations for further development. So again, of course, the government wants to be on the same page when it comes to taxing whatever digital instrument you may be using. So again, guys, many moving parts. The idea of creating a CBDC, the idea of transferring value digitally, the idea that Bitcoin could be regulated in the broader framework, not to mention all the cross-border transactional stuff that Ripple is doing and using utility coins for that. And what does that mean if banks want to hold XRP? There's so many questions to this. Regulatory clarity still is a very, very important step towards this. But I got to play you guys this. The Real XRP posted this on Twitter at XRP Real. And it is Christine Lagarde at a press conference just yesterday explaining why price stability is important for the economy. But the Real XRP says, set that price of gold and digital assets already. And for our sake, set it high. Okay, let me play you this clip from Christine Lagarde.
In a sustainable, in a solid way. And whether you look at the corporates, whether you look at families, whether you look at governments, price stability is a key element in order to actually decide to invest, decide to employ, decide to enter into such or such fiscal policies. So price stability, which itself includes multiple factors, is our compass and has to be our compass.
So price stability, that is going to be one of the most important parts to all this. And so we've been hearing talks about this date, okay, July 21st. And this was retweeted out by Reborn at Reborn13 here on Twitter from Mr. Poole at loop_RM311_7211. Now he's putting some pieces of the puzzle together and insinuating that July 21st is going to be an important date. And it looks as though he's been pointing to this date for a while now, so obviously his Twitter handle, 7-21, is right there in the Twitter handle, okay? 7 equals July, 21 is the 21st, hidden in plain sight. 1% remaining. And this from a tweet he posted back in February, okay? This one here, if you spell it backwards, overnight, is what it spells. You can see here the counter is at 589. And is the reset going to happen on the 21st? We have Christine Lagarde talking about price stability just recently, and now, a week away, or not even, a few days away now, the world has been dealing with a pandemic, and we've got some other clues pointing to July 21st. I've touched on this in some other videos. The effective rule, including Ripple and XRP within this plan, happening on July 21st, 2020. This from the Bureau of Consumer Financial Protection. We also had this, right? United States going to a gold standard. The committee on Friday announced that the vote on Shelton's nomination will also take place on July 21st. And the BRICS summit. So July 21st to 23rd is when those BRICS countries are having their summit under Russia's presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization in 2019 to 2020 and the BRICS Association in 2020. The BRICS summit and meeting of the SCO heads of state council will be held in St. Petersburg. So a lot of stuff pointing to July 21st. And for those of you guys who do not know, the BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So what is being suggested here? That we're going to go to a global standard, that President Trump is going to make a deal with Russia and China. Obviously, the ECB is on board, making sure that price stability is key, not only for global trade, but for a level playing field with global trade. That would only mean one thing, that the US dollar would have to be replaced. And so we've heard this narrative over and over again. Is this likely to happen? Could we see XRP shoot up to 589 in the blink of an eye? I mean, most likely not. Okay, I don't want to put any false hope into your hearts, but we do have to remember that this is a process, and that is not to say that July 21st is not an important date for all this. Now, let's take a look at the Bearable Bulls tweet here. The bank runs currently happening in China will be an excuse and potential catalyst for the accelerated adoption of the digital yuan. So I don't know if you guys have been following this, but this from June 23rd. So this was a few weeks before the run on the banks that the Bearable Bull is talking about. China's banking system begins to crack at its grassroots as 2 bank runs take place within a week. Or rather, this was the beginning of it. So local governments and police in both Hebei and Shaanxi provinces were forced to intervene after rumors concerning Baiding Bank and Yankuang Commercial Bank. China is hoping to rely on its small lenders amid the fallout from the beer flu to provide funds to small factories and farmers. So China's $40 trillion banking system is seeing growing signs of trouble at its grassroots, with bank runs happening at 2 small local lenders last week, a sign that a mountain of debt and unprecedented economic contraction has started to take a toll. So China's economy slowly unraveling. Now we have this just from a couple of days ago. Spate of bank runs forces China regulators and police to act. So social media fueled rumors about banks collapsing are popping up at an unprecedented frequency in China, forcing regulators and even police to step in to calm depositors. So there is a run on the banks. This is reality, guys. China is a huge economy and the people want to preserve their wealth. Now, historically, what have we seen when there has been a run on the banks? We've seen Bitcoin rise, guys. Let's go back to 2013 for a second here. I'm going to put Bitcoin on the weekly, and we go back to 2013, and it was spring 2013, okay, right in around here. That's when we saw a run on the banks in Cyprus. It was making big news, and they were actually reporting that some people were actually investing in Bitcoin because they didn't trust the banks any longer. They were funneling their funds after they did withdraw. They deposited their funds and invested in Bitcoin, which saw a Bitcoin price increase. Now, that was Cyprus, a small economy, and at that time, cryptocurrency wasn't as big as it is now. But guys, now we've got China. We've got the Chinese in the same situation. And when you look at these numbers, China, $63.83 trillion, that's 17.7% of the world's total wealth, coming in only second to the United States of America. So we've got China. We've got a run on the banks that is currently happening. We've got all these interesting developments leading up to July 21st. We've also got Christine Lagarde suggesting that price stability is important, and this is what will ultimately keep the economy stable. Are we moving to a new standard? Are we moving away from the USD as that global reserve currency? Well, we've also got DJ Peter Vass here, and the plan is already in place. This is from the Digital Dollar Project, which I've talked about in a previous video, and this is just a screen grab showing how it's all going to work. Federal Reserve Bank showing wholesale transactions, how it's going to work with cash, digital dollars, the flow chart from financial institutions. So, the trickle down, Federal Reserve System, then financial institutions, then non-financial institutions and individuals, and how this whole plan is ready to be disseminated to the American public. So again, is a change happening? I also saw this from Gold Telegraph. Gold has risen 3 consecutive months and 6 consecutive quarters. Welcome to the era of gold. Are we going to go to a new gold standard, guys? This is not proof that anything is happening for sure, but it does make you think. July 21st, an important date. Could we see XRP rise? I think it's certainly possible. Am I 100% confident that it will rise on July 21st? No, I'm not. But guys, these are all pieces of a puzzle that is currently in motion to change the world of finance. And if you hold XRP, you're going to be in for the ride. Anyways, that's just my opinion, but I want to hear what you guys think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Like the video if you like the content I'm providing. I always love hearing your comments. See you in the next one, guys.